Kai, welcome back. Hope y'all beautiful people are just having a fantastic day. We're out here just in nature, talking the spiritual talk, talking the relationship talk, empowerment, love it. This is a big question, right? Are you questioning if you're the narcissist? Well, it's a fair question, right? A lot of times when we get out of relationships and you're sitting there, you're wondering, right? Maybe you just been left by someone, or you broke up with someone, or it just the relationship ended, right? And whether it was toxic or not, whether the person was a narcissist or someone with narcissistic tendencies, because there's a difference, there's a big difference. It doesn't really matter, right? If they weren't good for you, they weren't good for you. You're gonna sit there in that aftermath, right, where you're just emotionally sprung open and emotionally vulnerable, and you're gonna wonder, like, it's natural. Am I the narcissist? Am I the toxic one? I can tell you right now that the fact that you're even questioning something like that, like if you're on this video genuinely asking yourself that question, that's a really good thing. And I'll tell you exactly why it's a good thing. Because that means that not only are you thinking about your own behaviors, but you're thinking about how your behaviors and your actions impact other people. That is a really amazing thing. Not everyone has that. Not everyone thinks like that. Okay? It's powerful. And it's a good question to have, right? None of us are perfect. We all we all do some things in the pursuit of love that might not be the most healthy, because none of us grew up in perfect situations. But it is your job to recognize what might not be a healthy form of asking for love or being in a relationship. Catch that so that your actions don't hurt another person. That's your responsibility. But it's also your responsibility to leave toxic situations if the other person is just purely toxic. But what were you doing dating them? That's a big question, right? Maybe for another video. You're gonna find, as you really begin to heal your traumas, your insecurities, your wounds from childhood or from other relationships that maybe have caused you to become a big people pleaser, not prioritize your needs, or over prioritize your needs and not prioritize the other person's needs, basically unhealthy forms of love. But I'll just use the example for like most, highly sensitive individuals. Like, we tend to be more on the codependent side of things, right? We seek validation and love from another person. We give way more than we should because it's just kind of in our nature to give. It's kind of in our nature to be highly empathetic and compassionate people. Don't ever lose that. But sometimes we can put that above ourselves. We don't always give that to ourselves first. When you start to kind of give that to yourself more, having that self-compassion, putting up boundaries, prioritizing your needs, communicating your concerns, while still keeping the other person in mind, right? You might come across to some people as, I guess, toxic that aren't healed yet. Or you might wonder, since this is new to you, like, oh man, I just like kind of put my needs first. I gave myself this compassion when I could have given more to that other person. I still gave them, attention and compassion, but like I prioritized myself, huh? Someone might call you a narcissist for that. Someone might call you toxic for that. You're going to have to be able to discern, right, the difference. Like, you're always going to have to be questioning all the time. And as you should. Like, when I'm making this decision for myself to, let's say, you have an event that you were planning to go to with your significant other, and something else came up, and you just can't go anymore, or you need to prioritize, you need to stay home to work. whatever, right? And you can't go, right? The previous you would have just completely thrown your needs and concerns out the window and went, but then you wouldn't have been happy there and you wouldn't have been content there, and you would have probably had an attitude or started getting passive aggressive because you were resenting the person, right? And then you start to, say like, look, like, I understand this is important, but like, I need to do this for myself so that I can fill my own cup and then I can give to you more later. Like, that might hurt the other person's feelings. You can't make everyone happy all the time. You can try your best to be the best human being you can, but you can't make everyone happy all the time. Whatever decision you're going to make is going to upset somebody, whether it upsets you, yourself, or the other person. Sometimes you have to compromise though too. Like, okay, I'm going to give this up because this is really important for the other person. Again, you're going to have to make those decisions on your own. You're going to have to find that balance. But my point is, like, when you start to really heal, like, really kind of take ownership of your traumas, insecurities, childhood wounds, you're going to start to put yourself first. You're going to start to have that confidence to be able to stand up for yourself and put up those boundaries and have that level of respect for yourself, right? And that's a good thing to have. But the difference, and this is what I'll say, like, the difference between you and a narcissistic person who's just all the time selfish is you'll be able to make those discerning decisions. Like, okay, I'm going to put myself first here, but how is this affecting the other person? You're still going to be thinking about the other person as you're making decisions for yourself. That's what separates the difference between you, a healed, more well-rounded individual, and someone that is just completely toxic and always just thinking about themselves. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to prioritize your own needs. In fact, it's the only way to have a satisfying, like, long-term relationship. And if it's with the right person, like, yes, they might get upset about some things sometimes, but they're going to understand, and they're also going to be doing the exact same thing. I think one of the biggest, like, pieces of advice or, like, lessons that I ever learned was, prioritizing, like, fulfilling and satisfying and taking care of your own needs first, so makes you a much better partner. Because then when you're taken care of and you're satisfied and you're content with yourself, like, you have more to give to that other person. And, like, you can do more for that other person. And you're not going to be sitting there resenting them because you'd much rather be, you need to be getting some sleep or not, or whatever it is, right? Like, you need to be you feel like you want to be doing something else to, like, take care of yourself, but you just feel like you can't do it because you don't want it to have you don't want the other person to not approve. And there's so many, like, angles to this, but, like, I guess, like, the point that I'm trying to make in summary is that the difference between you and a toxic narcissistic person, if you're wondering if you're the narcissist or you're, like, the toxic one here, don't. Because if your mind is constantly thinking about the other person and how your actions might potentially affect them, even if you have to make a tough decision sometimes, that's okay. I'm not saying to, you're not actually going out of your way to hurt the other person or to take advantage of them or to steal their energy. Like, you're not being malicious with your actions. Toxic people aren't doing that. All they care about is themselves. All they care about is just taking. They're not sitting there wondering how my actions affect another person. So the fact that you have that quality, don't ever lose that. And you need to be maintaining that all the time. That needs to be a daily thing in your relationships with all people, with your friends, with your with your family and relationships. As long as you maintain that level of empathy and compassion for people, you're going to be okay. Even as you start to prioritize your own needs, even as you start to maybe upset somebody because you had to take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. You know, people that are looking at it through the lens of they've never known what it means to take care of themselves, or they never understood that it's okay to prioritize themselves sometimes and to fulfill their own needs and do all that. It doesn't always have to be about the other person. They might look at that's toxic because they don't know any better. I don't. The only reason I'm saying this is because like I know, like I used to sit there and I used to sit there and think, oh man, they're prioritizing themselves and not me, but I'm giving all of this love and affection and attention away at my own deficit. So why aren't they doing it? Oh my God, they're so toxic. But then I kind of realized, like, along the way, like, it's okay to take care of yourself and prioritize yourself as long as you're keeping the other person in mind and wondering how your actions affect the other person. Okay? I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, bye.